Okay, everybody, boys and girls, we're back. We had a little bit of a technical issue in this world and age of high tech technology. Even at the amazing studio, All Systems Go AV, we had a glitch, and millionaire producer Adam got us fixed up here a little bit. So we will get right back into this thing. Doesn't stop professionals, right? So let's get started with it. And I want to get right in. Don't want to waste any more of your time. Hopefully, some of you guys be able to jump back on. If not, we will run this thing. It'll be filmed, edited, and then uploaded to YouTube later, and then I'll send that around. So whatever's easier for you guys. And like I said, it'll be on the audio podcast as we go forward as well. So I want to get into some questions that were sent to me. And one was sent in. Some of these people I'm going to name, some of them not, for various reasons. But one was sent in to me by, no, let's start here. One that I got probably 4 or 5 times in different scenarios was about pay plans. We have a really awesome. Our whole audience is awesome, but we have a guy that just stumbled into our channel somehow. His name's Ethan Rawson. He's at gosh, I shouldn't say where he's at, really. He's in the state of Massachusetts. I'll say that. And he sent in several questions, and he's been a real big proponent of the show, which is very, very cool. So I'm going to read some of his. Let me see here. I want to make sure we're okay here. Okay, so is everything good on the Facebook live stream, guys? I have my phone here, so I can kind of look at that. So if you could let me know if we're coming through good there, that would be awesome. Yeah, a little choppy. All right, we're going to continue this thing regardless. So the one thing I want to talk about is pay plans, because that came up a lot, and this is going to be controversial. There's not a lot of dealers in the country that do it this way. I can tell you that I've done it. I've taught it. I've implemented it. I've facilitated it. And there are dealers that we know across the country using it. And it has to do with variable operations, the front end of the dealership, if you will. One of the things that I've always found very, very curious from a dealer standpoint or a general manager standpoint is how to put together a pay plan, regardless of the position, whether it be a salesperson, if you have a liner closer situation, desk manager, management, someone's penciling the deals, new car manager, used car manager, F&I managers, BDC managers, everyone, is how in the world do you put together a specific pay plan for that particular manager in that specific department, add them all up, we're going to take me on about this. Everyone's going to take me on about this. Well, probably 90% of the people are going to take me on about this, but I don't care. Let's talk about the F&I department for a minute. So they get paid whatever percentage it is of the revenues or profit that they create in their department. And they're dealing with chargebacks, they're dealing with costs on warranties and so on and so forth. So, but it's pretty easy to figure out what that department per line on your statement, what that created times a percentage. So from that standpoint, that department is pretty darn simple. Now, you take that and in terms of new situation, includes F&I, getting paid on growth, maybe with which we're playing you're not going to have your BDC director in some sort of disagreement about the way a deal is handled. You're not going to have the F&I department come out throwing in a deal on the desk and say, come on, man, we're $60 away a month on a payment here. You're going to have people working together. If everyone's paid from the same dollar, we're more likely to work together as a team. So that's kind of some of my thoughts on that. Let's see where we're at here. We're having some problems out there, boys and girls. So let's see what we're doing here. All right, I think we're okay. Sorry for the dead air. I'm just checking something here. And maybe we're not. But I'm going to keep talking. I'll let these guys figure it out. So, pay plans, yeah. Now, there's different variables to that, obviously. If you have an independent used car lot, let's talk about that for a minute. We, AutoMax, my company, we've been known for 20 years now as the company that provides dealerships with committed, well-trained salespeople with no bad habits. In other words, green peas. That's for years. That's all we did. Over the last 7 or 8 years, we do everything. I mean, we literally, like what I like to say is from porters to presidents. We literally staff every single department. We're probably one of our real strengths now is, and has been for the last couple of years, is automotive technicians, which is going to be very important. We can talk about that a little bit on the podcast today as well. But if we're in the mindset of hiring mercenaries, killers, so to speak, in our used car departments, that's a whole different thing. If we're looking for real experienced, high-pressure pros, which I'm not against, in certain environments and in certain dealerships or in independents, and there's a lot of different ways to look at that. Man, high percent of commission number wins. If you get to hire someone that can sell 300 or 400 cars a year, and you get to pay him or her 35-40% of the gross profit, have at it, man. I mean, have at it. Some people are motivated by different things. However, typically in a new car dealership, nowadays, when 65% of your applicants, 65% of your client base is somewhere in the millennial range of things, we're going to have to look at different pay plans. You're going to have to mix in a salary, and I'm not talking about a minimum wage salary. I'm not talking about a $400 a week salary. I'm talking about a really true living wage. Plus. Now you can go plus percentage of gross, you can go plus incentives, plus unit bonuses, and so forth. I read something the other day on Facebook. It was from Forbes about the average profit, quote end quote, on new car deals. And according to this Forbes article, the average gross profit on a new car deal across the country was a negative $735 per new car sold. So we're losing, according to this article, according to the data, $735 per deal to sell a new car. Okay, so that leads itself to the question, hey, we'll just sell more. No. That way you'd lose more money. We need to do something about that. A lot of that that's a whole nother podcast. I think that has a lot to do with marketing. I think it has a lot to do with customer experience. I think it has a lot to do with how we take care of the customer after the sale, and how we really truly present ourselves. I think that's pushing us to a kind of a one price model across the board, because we can't operate forever at a loss. Now obviously car dealerships are not in business to lose money, so that profit has to be made up. Where's it going to be made up? It's going to be made up in the used car department. It's going to be made up in the service department, and it's definitely going to be made up in the finance and insurance department without question. Now, in talking about new and used, I want to go into that a little bit. Here again, and a lot of this stuff's going to be controversial, and a lot of you might disagree with me on this, and that's fine. But in my way of thinking, and just put yourself in this position for a moment, and if you are in this position, I'd love to hear from you and see if you agree or disagree with me. But if you're desking new and pre-owned sales together, one right after another, you got a line of salespeople there with worksheets in their hand, and however you're set up, however you're desking deals, however you're penciling deals, you're penciling a new car deal that came in on a third-party lead, a website lead, came through your BDC department somehow. It's on an advertised car. It's a loser, and that's a pretty easy pencil. They either make you some ridiculous offer under that, or it's just a matter of wrapping up the deal. You got that deal, then you got someone coming in. The next deal is a new car deal, and they have a trade-in, and the trade's appraised for $12,000, and they want $20,000 for it, and you're at net on the new car, and so you got that deal, but you're playing for incentive money, and you sell the car for a $2,000 loser. I mean, a legit $2,000 loser, because you're figuring your incentive money coming at the end of the month, and then the next salesperson in line is on a used car deal. It's a truck. It's been in stock 4 days. You're $1,500 behind book. I mean, this is a $5,000-$6,000 deal all day long. In my opinion, it would be hard, not impossible, obviously, but it would be hard to calibrate my mind to all those deals. And going from a $2,000 loser, let's make this deal happen quick, new car deal, bang, 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 let's get this done, get them into the box, get them out of here, happy, go bust some bugs, and send us a good CSI survey. Get that deal done quick, easy, great customer experience, get them on the road, send us all your friends and neighbors, Facebook, bang, and see you later. And then slowing that next deal down is a used car deal where we can make some serious money on it. It's, in my opinion, if possible, to split those desks up. In my opinion, a used car manager is more than someone that just buys cars and makes sure they get through the shop and watches those costs and watches his or her days in inventory and so forth. In my opinion, if I'm running a store, I'm going to have separate desks. I'm probably going to have separate sales forces, frankly. I'm going to have people that are selling new and people that are desking and penciling those new car deals, and I'm going to have a separate used car department inside the same building that has used car salespeople and a used car manager desking or penciling those deals as well. I think they're entirely two different situations, really, in my opinion. I think the opportunity to optimize your gross profit on both situations are higher with something like that in place, and I think it's something to definitely consider. So that was not actually part of a question, but it's something that I wanted to cover. Let's see here. Are we going along here okay? Let's see here if we got anything. Whoops, sorry. Good morning to everybody. Jason Grace, price is only an issue in the absence of value. Absolutely, that is 100% true. Um, so let me get to some of the questions here that I was sent in. Like I said before, we had technical issues, and I don't know if we're still having them or not, but I'm just going to go ahead and let this thing rip. I had a couple that were pretty inappropriate. They're pretty funny. So it's amazing when you put your email address out there. Be careful what you ask for. That's all I can tell you. But they were pretty interesting. One I have a date with this Saturday. No, I'm only kidding. That's a joke. But there were some pretty interesting things that came across my email. But I did get all the questions were very interesting. But I did get a really interesting question from Shelley. Let me see if I can find this one because we actually had a little conversation about it. And she writes, what are some of the things you can do to lower the chance of no-shows for interviews? I think that's a real important question, and I'm assuming that those of you that are in charge of recruiting people at your dealership, regardless of the department, are dealing with what is commonly known as ghosting. In other words, you post your job, your ad, wherever you're posting it, however you're doing it, and we can talk about that as well. And it's going out there, and you're getting resumes back, and you're corresponding with these people, however you do it, via email, text, phone, however you're doing it, and people are scheduling interviews and not showing. It's ghosting. And it's become a real trend. To give you kind of an idea, I'm going to say 4 or 5 years ago, out of every 100 scheduled applicants, scheduled interviews that we'd make, we'd have somewhere around a 70% show ratio, which is really high. What was high then, now would be ridiculously high. We're down now to somewhere around 50%, which is probably quite a bit higher than if you do it yourself. But it's with the different methods that we use, and we'll talk about it now. There's some real easy answers to this question, but I think it goes deeper than this, and it's something I'm going to read to you here, and something that we're actually going to try. The question facilitated me thinking about how can we do a better job with it, because we're always learning. We've been in business 21 years, done 18,000 recruiting campaigns, again, from porters to presidents, placed on 170-some thousand people in car dealerships in the U.S., Canada, and Puerto Rico. Yeah, we still don't have this thing figured out, and we're growing using new technologies, and just we're constantly trying to get better. So it's important to us to stay ahead of everyone else. So texting is become our real go-to method in a lot of areas of our business with recruiting in terms of scheduling interviews and so forth. We're doing a lot of texting. It seems to be the applicant's main choice, not the only choice, but main choice. And one that they can't ignore. Well, they can ignore it and not answer back, but it's coming to their phone. It's right out of our CRM. So I mean, they're going to get that text message. So I think a little more less passive, more aggressive approach to really following up on that scheduled interview is important. It's no different really than a BDC department where somebody says, yeah, I'll be in tomorrow at 3 o'clock. Okay, well, we're not just going to, well, you shouldn't just, okay, oh, hey, we got an appointment tomorrow at 3 with so-and-so, and then that's it. There should be more follow-up to that to ensure that scheduled interview is actually coming in. And I would hope that that's the way we're doing it. And recruiting is not unlike that, where we need to follow up with that scheduled appointment. It's really critical to be able to do that. So as the conversation between Shelley and I went along, let's see, I said, and I'm not sure this is the right. I'm just going to read this. This is like legit full transparency here. It said, "Hey, you know what? It could be as simple as quote, hey, thanks so much for scheduling your interview. Just so we're 100% sure you're absolutely certain that you'll be there, so the person that's going to be interviewing you is completely ready to do so." And then I put or end quote or something real / transparent type of text or email. So that's one way. Then I offered up this. It could be as simple as, and I think this is probably closer to it, quote, please be real with us in regard to this scheduled interview you just made. It's very important to us. Please make it important to you and show up 5 to 10 minutes early. And if for any reason you're not going to be able to make your commitment, please get back to me beforehand. So let me read that to you again. Quote, so the person has scheduled an appointment to come in and interview. Okay? Now, I'm telling you right now, ghosting is gigantic. If you track these numbers, you're probably somewhere around, I'm going to guess, 40% show. Could be even less. Of the people that you're scheduling an appointment for an interview, 60% are vanishing, ghosting you. That's kind of a national number. Actually, it's in the high 30s. So you might want to take a look at this and definitely keep track. You keep track of everything else. You certainly should keep track of your human capital. So someone has scheduled an appointment to come in and interview. So let's send them, in my opinion, text, quote, please be real with us in regard to this scheduled interview. It's very important to us. Please make it important to you and show up 5 to 10 minutes early. And if for any reason you're not going to be able to make this commitment, I love that word, please get back to me beforehand. So let's have some dialogue between us and the scheduled interview to make sure that they actually show. Things come up. They forget. They've got their resume out to 100 different job opportunities. We're not the only game in town. I think sometimes in the automobile industry, we've gotten there in our head that, we're second, third, fourth, fifth generation. We've won a lot of awards. We're well thought of in our community. We dump just a ton of money into charities and so forth. So we just naturally think that because of all that, if someone has expressed interest in coming to work at our dealership, that they're just going to show up and, yeah, man, gosh, I've waited my whole life to work here at ABC Motors. That's just not the case. That's not real world. It's just not. So we have to get it through our thick automotive heads that we have to be more aggressive, perhaps. We have to, again, be more transparent. Let's be open with these people. I say over the years, talk to me like you know me. Let's do that with our job applicants. Talk to them. Real world talk to them. Really real world conversations with them. Let's talk to them like we know each other and say, just be real with me. If for any reason you're not going to be able to make it, tell me now. If this is just for whatever, you can't say that. If there's any other motivation for you scheduling this interview, tell me now, because I don't want to be able to. I don't want to be in a position to be able to tell the dealership that 16 people are scheduled for interviews when really only 6 are for real. So tell me now. Are you really going to show up? Words to that effect. Just flat out be real with them, folks. Just be real with them. Your ghosting will change. And those are some changes that we're actually going to make within AutoMax. So, Shelley, I hope that answered your question. Anybody else have that kind of question going on? Hopefully that answers that a little bit. I just see one technical difficulty after another. That's my buddy Marcus Stone on the Daily Dose Show. He's having some issues as well. Must be that kind of day. Let me get into some of these other questions here that we have received. And we'll get to that here momentarily. The audio is great. Well, thank you. And good morning to you, Chris Walsh. Okay, so let me get some of these other questions here. From Pete. And again, I'm not going to give out emails and stuff. I was actually going to show them, but that's probably doxing, and that's not cool. So from Pete, and Pete is from Oklahoma. How do I get my ad seen? I don't think it's getting seen. Right? So we could almost, again, do a whole podcast on this, but let me give you a long story short. Oh, you know what? Let me, this is not a pitch because it's free. Go to our YouTube channel, AutoMax Recruiting. There are 3 different playlists you want to take a look at. One is by my son, Joe Lockard. I'm getting a call from Peru. Oh, I know who that is. That's actually a friend of mine. Go to our YouTube channel, AutoMax Recruiting. There's 3 playlists. One's by my son, Joe Lockard, who's the director of operations of AutoMax Recruiting. It's called Recruit to Retain. And then there's a couple by me. One's called Automotive Recruitment, and one is a 21 video playlist called The Recruiter. A lot of these questions are fully detailed in those playlists. I would strongly urge you to look at those. It'll give you a lot of really good information. But how do we get our ads seen? Okay, so how does SEO work for your dealership in terms of marketing? It's based on the words at work, right? It's based on words. It's based on search terms. And in the recruiting world, it is the same exact thing. It's all about search terms. Let me give you a glaring example. Let's say at a dealership we call our salespeople customer concierge. Okay, that sounds awesome. And that's a great name or title for the person once they start at your dealership. However, if you title your help wanted ad customer concierge, it will not get seen. No one will apply. People most likely search whatever they've called themselves on their resume. So if we're looking for whatever you want to call them once they come to the dealership, it's up to you. It's fine. It's cool. But if we're looking for salespeople, what he or she is going to call themselves on their resume is a sales consultant or sales representative. So in our title of our help wanted ad, I mean, this is basic stuff, but it's things that you got to think about, and it's like crazy important. So we want to use those words, and exactly those words. Let me go into the word representative. We want to use the root word, representative, not sales rep. In a well-written resume, even a half-assed resume, typically they're not going to put the word sales rep. They're going to spell out the word representative. But we want to use the root word, how someone is going to Google search that job, because that's how people are searching jobs right now. They're going to Google. They're not going to the old-time job boards of Career Builder, Monster, and so forth, and searching that way. They're Googling their jobs, which I'll get back to here in a minute about coding and about Google. We also don't want to use plural. Even though we might be looking for more than one sales representative, we don't want to use the word sales representatives. We don't want to use it in plural because, again, they're not going to search that term with the S on it. So we want to think about search. So when you're writing a help wanted ad, think search, 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 search. Not only in the job title, but in the job description. What words are people going to search? Let me give you an example. Let's say we and we sure should be, but let's say we're looking to hire or employ more females. Okay, let's just take this example for a minute. In my job description, I'm going to talk about female-dominated industries. Let me give you an example, and this is kind of how it would be worded. We here at King Kong Motors have found that people that sold real estate can become a great high-earning sales representative here at King Kong Motors. Words to that effect. So so those search terms are in there. Then we get down to the tag words or keywords at the bottom of the ad. They are crazy important. And I mean, load them up as many as whatever job board you're posting it on, whether it be ZipRecruiter, Indeed, or whatever the case might be. Just load them up. Relative search terms to the job that you're looking for. Again, if we'll stay with salespeople for a minute, pharmaceutical sales, pharmaceutical salesperson, real estate salesperson, real estate sales representative, real estate sales consultant, so on and so forth. So we want to load it up with strong, searchable keywords. How do you do that? Go to Google Trends. It'll tell you what you're looking for. So it'll be a lot easier there. I think we're okay here. Hey, Jason Gardner, what's up with you, dude? I'm going to talk about your fine company here in a minute when we get to some of these live reads. So it's search. So how to get your ad seen, your help wanted ad seen, just think the same way you would in terms of your marketing and how you're going to get your car seen or your dealership seen. It's really, truly no more complicated than that. And again, you could go to our YouTube channel, AutoMax Recruiting, and it'll go over that some with you as well. I'm going in no order here, just the way I wrote down some of these questions from a woman by the name of Adrian. And Adrian is in California. So I'm assuming she might be up and watching. If you are, Adrian, hello. Wanted to talk about, she had questions about an interview, how to hold a professional interview. And she went deeper in her question, what's the difference between interviewing a millennial and someone more mature in age? The cheap seat answer to that question is, in my opinion, no difference. Interviewing a potential team member is crazy important. The way that I used to do it and the way that I think, and I'm afraid that most people do it, is kind of from the hip. So by that I mean this, that if I walked in, I'm 67 years old, I got 47 years in the car business, which seems crazy to me. It's like I started yesterday. So you're probably going to, without this information I'm about to give you, you're probably going to interview me differently than you would a 21-year-old female that just either graduated from college or just left college after 2 years or what have you. Probably going to be with limited life and work experience. Probably going to be two entirely different interviews. What this is going to cause is problematic from how are you going to differentiate between those two people other than who you, quote unquote, like better? Who did you feel better about during the interview? Who did you relate with better during the interview? See, in my opinion, that has nothing to do with their potential as a team member at your dealership, regardless of the department you're in. So it's in our very strong opinion, and this is the only way we do it at AutoMax Recruiting, is we have a word for word scripted interview, and we interview every single person the exact same way. The exact same questions, the exact same time, the exact same cadence, the exact same examples. Everything is identical. Everything. Every single person. So then, whether we get 5 or 55 interviews, we can sit down and see and then differentiate or measure the answers to those very specific identical questions. I mean, if you say it out loud, it's the only thing that makes sense. Interview everyone exactly the same way. Yes, I mean, I don't care if you have to read off a scripted piece of paper. That's probably even better. Word for word. Every single person. I don't care if sex, age, color, nationality, previous work experience, education, environment they grew up in. I don't care. Don't matter to me. Interview them all in an identical manner. It's the only way that you can really win, because this is so important, man. The people that you bring on, this is critical that you're bringing on the right people. And the only way that I want to bring on people is if they fit my culture, if based on the answers to the interview, if I have 25 interviews and 9 of them answer in the way that I will fit my culture, those are the 9 that I'm going to formally make an offer to hire to. Now, I might like interview number 15, but she didn't. I liked her because she had a nice personality and this and that. But if I'm asking her different questions than everybody else, it's going to just skew the whole thing. It's going to screw it up. So stop doing that. Go from a scripted interview. Now, this could cause us a big mess, but I don't care. I'm into big messes. We'll figure it out. It's copywritten. However, I am publicly giving you permission to use it. If you want a copy of our scripted sales interview, be happy to send it out to you. We also have, when we hire general managers, general sales managers, F&I managers, BDC directors, we have what we call a position questionnaire. If you'd like any of those tools, and again, these are all copywritten. However, I am, like I just said, publicly giving you authority to be able to use them. Go to our website, automaxrecruitingandtraining.com. Hit the Contact Us button, if you will. Called button, link, whatever. And just, it'll ask you for some information. And just, hey, I'd like a copy of the whatever, the general sales manager position questionnaire or the sales interview. Now, the sales interview, I would say this: you can use it for service advisors. You can use it for anybody, obviously, in your BDC, if you're still calling it a internet department or whatever, your sales floor. Heck, I'm not so certain that I wouldn't, because I think the phone receptionist, I think that's just such a crazy important role. I would probably interview her or him with the sales interview, frankly. If I was running a store, that's what I would do, because I think that position is crazy important. It's definitely not a minimum wage, just to hire anybody position. That's a fact. So, but if you want that information, just go to our website, hit the Contact Us, and put in there what you want, and we'll get something out to you. Let's see here. I want to make sure I'm not missing anybody's questions here. Ethan, I have no idea what you mean by jewelry sales. Let's see here. Let me see. Ethan wrote a bunch of questions here, so let me try to get to some of his. Oh, he was one. He's a kind of a younger guy. Has made a real good uh, jump in the car business. I think Ethan, if you're watching, no, I know you're watching because you just asked a question. Uh, Frank, I think you said you're 29 years old. I got my first GM job when I was 29. It was a series of events that I won't get into and bore you with. But I think your question was in regard to GSM had something to do with, first of all, you're not too young. Um, Nothing wrong with youth. Nothing wrong with age or experience either. It's who you are as a man or a woman and what's in your heart and your desire and your commitment, frankly, and how successful you're going to be, in my opinion. But you asked some specific questions. One of the questions within the framework of that one big question you asked me was relocation. You know, will a dealership relocate you? Yeah, uh, some will, some won't. We're finding, and with the epidemic, and I'm not exaggerating, automotive technicians, it's an epidemic. There's a critical, I cannot overstate this, critical epidemic portion size problem with automotive technicians, and it's going to get nothing but worse. So, ladies and gentlemen, you better get on that and either A, create a farm system, or be prepared to relocate technicians from out of city, out of state to your dealership and get out the checkbook and pay these people flat out. It's the only way you're going to get them. If I have to relocate talent and it costs me, I don't know, come up with a figure. I don't know. Ethan, I'll talk directly to you. You're in Massachusetts, I believe, and I'm sorry if I screwed that up, but I'm pretty sure you're in Massachusetts. So let's say that a GSM opportunity becomes available to you in Texas. And they're offering, or you ask for, which is okay too, relocation money. Hey, I'm going to need, I got a wife and two kids or whatever. And again, I'm sorry, I don't know if you're married or if you have children or what have you, but I'm going to give you right now, I'm going to give you a wife and two kids. So either you're welcome or sorry about that. So, hey, I need, it's going to cost me 10 grand to relocate my family to Austin. Okay, from the Austin dealer's point of view, okay, so I got to basically pay 10 grand to get this guy to come run my store. Now, if you're the right candidate, if you're the right individual, $10,000 could be made up on 3 car deals. So, in the long-term, wide lens scope of looking at this, it's really nothing kind of money. So to answer your question, yeah, some dealers will pay relocation money, some won't. Some will throw it at you different ways, sign-on bonuses and this and that and another thing. But there certainly is no reason not to ask for sure. I had 3 people, and this is kind of interesting. I had 3 people write questions about demos, company demonstrators. Excuse me. And I don't know. It was kind of unusual because it seems like it was a million years ago that demos were a thing. Now, some managers still get demos. Some people are tied into a lease on the car that they're the OEM that they're working for, which is a way to do it, and then compensated for it. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, as long as you're working there for the term of the lease, I guess. Here's the way it all went down. Years ago when I sold cars, like everybody got a demo. I mean, you start your first day, you're a green pea, you're driving around in a brand new car. Now, of course, a lot of things happen. That got abused, cars got wrecked, people got drunk, stoned, driving around cars and wrecking them and so forth. And the insurance guy there, that would obviously raise their insurance premiums. And so dealers finally said, basically, that's it. You go to 120 group and, you got 20 dealers in there and you got 3 of them that said, I did away with my demos policy. And then the next 20 group meeting, it's 6. And the next one, it's 15. And then pretty soon it's like nobody's giving demos anymore. Look, dealers, it's real easy for me to sit here and spend your money. It's like way easy to do that. And I don't know how much it jacks up your insurance premiums. Frankly, I know you're not, and a lot of times you're not hiring. Sometimes you overlook it, sometimes you don't. Depends on where you're at and the position, their DMV record. With technicians, sometimes you have to turn a blind eye to their driving record a little bit because you need those techs or whatever the case might be. There's situations, alter cases, basically. But let's go way out there. Let's get real controversial. If we really want to have top talent in the car business, if we really truly want that, if we really truly want the best of the best, top people, like really stand up, amazing employees and team members. Ladies and gentlemen, a free car going to get you those people. Without a doubt. Without a doubt. Health insurance, benefits, and a free car or some sort of way to work out a demo is going to get you people. Now, I'm going to have dealers hating me all over the country over this thing. But, man, it's just fact is fact. If there's some way that you can work out a demo plan, and I'm not talking about, quote-unquote $200 a month demo allowance, quote, end quote, because, it's whatever that is. All that is an extra $200 or $300 or whatever it is. I mean, give them a car. Man, I'm going to tell you what. You're going to have people knocking down doors to get into your building to come to work for you. I mean, that is a benefit that no one else will be able to match. You would kill your competitors. You would kill them in terms of talent. You would have your pick of the litter of talent in your dealership. That's just a fact. And I know that's controversial. I know that's over the top. I know that's, we can't do that. You can do it. It's just going to cost you a little bit more money. But again, what's our long play here? What are we looking to do? Are we looking to dominate in our market? Are we looking to make money? Are we looking to buy a bigger boat? Are we looking to buy more franchises? Are we looking to last generation after generation after generation? Are we looking to put ourselves in a position to thrive, not survive the Carvanas and CarMaxes and blah, 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 and all that crap going forward? Are we looking to advance ourselves? Sometimes we do have to go backwards. It's great that we have the technology to do a lot of different things and to keep our customers happy, to speed up the deal. All that's great. But, man, you got to have talent. And sometimes you're going to have to make major concessions and changes and shifts in your paradigm of your thinking about how you're going to get that talent. So, it might be something to think about. Hey, before I go much further, I need to talk about some friends of the program here, and I don't want to cut our friends short. Friends of the program, otherwise known as sponsors, they pay us monthly, so it helps offset some of the costs for the podcast. But Jason Gerdner wrote in, and I'll get to some of your questions here, guys. Hang in there with me. But one of the friends of the sponsors is Tacoby. So Tacoby they're a very interesting company. Dan Webb, him and his wife Rachel were on the podcast with my son Joe Lockard probably 2 months ago now. But Jason, Scarlett, Dan Webb, they're all very visible on Facebook, as those of you that are on Facebook know. Let's see what I think Scarlett is now looking at a $7 million home. They were looking for homes in the mid twos, but now I think we're up to 7 million. But I don't think that's actually happening. I think that was just kind of for fun, but and a goal, frankly. But aside from that, let me talk about Tacoby, the company. They do a really swell job in getting buyers into your store using Facebook, using text messaging. They are very aggressive in doing it, and they do just a bang-up job. So kudos out to Tacoby and all the people that work there. We've been blessed to be retained by Tacoby. Now, I think we're on our third campaign. I should know this stuff, but I don't. The actual day-to-day operations of AutoMax are handled more by Ernie, by my two minority partners, Ernie Kasperwitz, my general manager, and my son Joe Lockard, who's also a minority partner and the director of operations. But I think John Huey's going. I don't know if we're there or going out there. I don't know. Soon, but at any rate, for Tacoby, go to tacoby.com. Reach out, get a demo, and see what they have to offer. It's awesome. Another friend of the program that I'd like to talk about right now is the Rockstar Unconference. Matt Koenig is the owner of that company. Matt and I are friends. We actually are one of the sponsors for the Rockstar events. They're one-day events. They call it a tour. The next one is in Austin. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to direct you to, so don't screw this up, rockstarinfo.com. Rockstarinfo.com. I think the next one's in Austin. The one after that is in Seattle. And I'm completely drawing a blank on where the one is after that. They are very unique. They call it an unconference, and it really is. They are very unique conferences. I strongly urge you to go. If you're a leader at your dealership, I encourage you to go and bring people with you. If you just work. If you work at a dealership, go. You will learn something that will absolutely, positively make you money, make your life better. Either one or both of those things are pretty cool. So we have a couple more friends that we're going to talk about later, but I want to get back into the questions because there are a bunch of them. I got from half a dozen people, third-party lead providers. I just got done talking about Tacoby, and I don't really consider them a third-party lead provider, although they do provide leads. And I guess they would be a third party. But for some reason, I don't think of it that way. Here's my thoughts on it, is this. I think you have to have a mixture. Most of the questions were formed in such a matter of either or. Should I go third party or should I do it all organically in-house? And I think the only reasonable answer to that question is I think you should do both. That would be my opinion. I'm guessing that would be the prevailing answer. I know a lot of dealerships are so against third-party lead providers. They're trying to do everything organically. And let me say this. If you're really on it, and I mean, man, you are really on it. Your CRM has the ability to, you're looking at those equity positions. You're looking at the, lease ends. You're working at service drive. I mean, you're like legit on it. And I mean, your focus is lasered into that. Maybe you can get away without a third-party lead provider of some sort. It's in my opinion, however, that's really hard to do, to have that focus, although you should. I mean, that should be a main focus. I mean, free leads are great. And close to free leads are really good too. However, I do think, in my opinion, you need to sprinkle in third-party leads. Now, who you use, I'm not going to get into that because that's a whole war. Some are better than others. Some leads are better than others. That's up to you. And there's a lot of research. You go into a lot of different groups, ask the question, you'll get a lot of different answers, and whoever's name comes up the most, use them, give them a shot. But I think you really need to have a combination of both, to be fair. If I'm running a dealership, if I'm an owner, a general manager, or if I'm in charge of marketing at that dealership, I'm going to use a combination of ways to market my store and market my inventory, and market my brand. And organic, obviously, is definitely going to be one of them. But I need and want, I think, a good third-party provider as well to help supplement or put me over the top or absolutely dominate my marketplace. See, if I'm running a store, I don't want to just get along. I don't want to just half-ass it. I want to dominate. I want to, I don't like competition, so I'm a very competitive person. So if you don't like competition, eliminate them flat out. Might sound brutal, but eliminate them. Maybe I don't play well with others, but if I own a dealership and I have 50, 60, 70, 100, 150, 200, whatever employees, or if I'm a group and I have 1,000 or 1,500, I have 1,000 families depending on me. And if I have 1,000 families or 30 families, like at AutoMax with 35, if I've got 35 families depending on decisions that I make, those decisions are going to be pretty selfish, because I'm going to do everything in my power and my ability to eliminate competitors. If I got to buy them, I'm going to always stay ahead of them. You will never outwork us, and I'm going to stay ahead of them in terms of technology and so forth. Because the only people that I'm concerned about are the 35 families that work with me. That's it, period. So whatever you need to do in your marketplace to dominate that marketplace, if it's adding a third-party lead provider, I think you got to do so. I think it's hard, not impossible, but I think it's hard to just go one or the other. I'm not going to do anything organically. I'm going to do everything through third party, or the reverse. I'm going to do everything organically and not do anything third party. Could get a little tricky, in my opinion. Let me see here. Blah, blah, blah. Let's see. We got here women in the workforce. Yeah, we need them. I mean, this is the biggest zero-brainer on the face of the earth. We need more females in the automobile industry. We need more women in automotive. End of story. We need them. Get them. It's ridiculous. Statistically speaking, women outsell men by nearly, I think it's 2.2 cars. No, it's 22 cars, per year. Females over their male counterparts. So and then, we can debate all day how many decisions in a male-female relationship, the percentage of those decisions are made by females rather than male are, statistically speaking, overwhelmingly female. Yet you walk into most showrooms and it's just way male dominated. That should change. There's a lot of different reasons why it is that way. Most of it is culturally based. But your dealership as a whole, I'm not just talking about your sales force. I'm talking about every single department. I'm going to use the word must. Oftentimes I should do that. I really should take a look at it. I really should research that more. I should do this. I should do that. And we end up shoulding all over ourselves. Yeah, I said should. I'm going to say we must diversify our businesses. We must, not should. We must diversify our businesses. And one of those areas that is pretty simple is females. I mean, it's 51% of the population or whatever it is. So, we got 320 million people to pick from. Obviously, we don't, because it includes kids and so on and so forth. But we got, even with 3.6% unemployment or whatever it is, I'm not really looking for unemployed people. I'd rather have people that are looking for better or stronger employment, frankly. Man, what a talent pool you got to pick from. I mean, how stupid is it? Think about it. Think about women in automotive for a minute. You got 100 people in a line. 51 of them are female, 49 are men. Okay, hey, ladies, thanks a lot for stopping in. You're excused. Bang. And you kick out 51 of them because they're females. And now you're just picking from that 49. Say that stuff out loud. What sense does that make? I mean, frankly, it's foolish. So start hiring them. If you need help with that, we can help you. I can lead you through the path. You can ask more questions about it on how to do it. And there are specific ways how to do it. That's for sure. Thank you about great stuff today. Anthony Santangelo, my man. Great questions and better answers. Starting training back up here. Yeah, he's on a 2-week training gig. Chris Walsh, demos sell cars. They sure do, man. They are rolling advertisement for a store and truly turn salespeople into brand ambassadors. I could not agree with you more. Now, you and I, you're older than me, Chris, but this old school, new school stuff absolutely drives me bananas. It's like just because something was done 20, 30 years ago doesn't make it bad today. Maybe we should relook at some of those things because maybe they weren't so bad. It's really kind of a vendor issue. It's guys like me, maybe not guys like me, but it's vendors in general that try to push crap down dealers' throats just to sell a product. It doesn't mean that it's good because it's new. It just doesn't. Stuff that we did 20, 30, 40 years ago could be effective today. Just short war stories. But let me give you a great example. This might sound sexist. If it does, sorry. But there used to be a thing called Secretary's Day. I don't even know if it's a thing today. But on Secretary's Day, every year when I sold cars in Canton, Ohio, at a single point Plymouth dealership in Canton, Ohio. And on Secretary's Day, I went out and I bought, how many did I get? 100? 150 carnations. No big deal. And I would physically take the whole day and I would walk into every single office building that I could possibly find and wish, was typically 99% of the secretaries were female, just the way the world was then. Hey, happy Secretary's Day. Here's a carnation. Here's my business card, and have a great day. And I'd leave. It was simple as that. It was just, foot soldier marketing. It was all it was. 4:30, 4:45 in the afternoon, I walk into the Department of Transportation of the city of Canton. I'm worn out. I got like a half a dozen wilted carnations left and a half a dozen business cards left. And hey, I just wanted to wish you a happy Secretary's Day. And this guy comes bolting out of his office, like not happy to see me. Who are you? What are you doing here? Leave my secretary, leave my girl alone, blah, blah, blah. I said, well, slow down, dude. Here's who I am. My name's Craig Lockhart. I work at Canton, Plymouth. Here's my business card. Would you like a carnation? I said, I sell cars and blah, blah, blah. Long story short, 27 vehicles later, that's what that deal did for me. Now, could you do it today? Why not? I mean, I was so crazy. There was a bus stop in front of the dealership. I would get on the bus stop. I would get on the bus at the bus stop. I would go down 4, 5, 6 stops, hand out my business card to everybody on the bus, because new people would be getting on the bus, and I'd give them one of my cards, and then I would come back, and I would hop the bus, get off of that bus going out, and then catch another bus coming back in, and do the same darn thing once a week. I mean, I don't know. Is that old school? Yeah. Did it work? Yeah. I sold everybody 3-to-1 every dealership I ever worked at. So yeah, it worked. Is that old school? Yeah, it's old school. Can you do it? Sure you can. It's no problem. Most women are the decision makers when it comes to household accounting. No question. Yes, you are, Chris. You're older than me. If not chronologically, you're just older. And I'm not changing my mind on that. So, but I love you anyway, dude. Third-party leads. Oh, resumes. I got Ethan Ransom sent in a question about resumes. Resumes are a little tricky. We do at AutoMax, especially for executive management positions, we ask for a video from the applicant. And we very specifically tell the applicant, we don't want a rewrite of your resume on this 2-minute video. So we don't need to know that you were here and you raised the gross profit 37%, and then I went there and I raised the unit count 75 vehicles a month. That's all on your resume. So we don't need to hear it again. So this video that we want is about you, your family, your passions, what you like outside of work, what your goals are, where do you want to be 5 years from now, yada, 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 that kind of thing. So resumes are getting weird. It was one of our executive recruiters, Danielle Burke, posted on Facebook, I don't know, probably a week ago now, about pictures on resumes. We're getting some resumes with pictures on our feelings about that. I don't know. I really don't know. I guess it can't hurt if it's an appropriate professional picture. Certainly can't hurt. We're getting more and more unique resumes. Can't hurt. But I'm going to tell you the real world here, ladies and gentlemen, that are not in the car business. Resumes are, in a lot of cases, fiction. And I'm probably telling you, I think it's pretty interesting that most resumes, you have a start and end date on a job, and there's rarely, it's like ended in April and started a new place in May. Then the next job ended in October, started at the next place in November. Yeah, that's unlikely. Could happen, but most times there's some gaps there. I would rather see, frankly, a person be real on their resume, and so that we could actually discuss that and talk about that perhaps on those gaps, because it could be good reasons and something that would perhaps make me like the person even better. Because it's kind of hard to believe that someone's worked at 7 places over 25 years and never had a gap in employment. That's unlikely, frankly. A resume should be well written, free of grammatical errors, spelling errors, chronological order, references, and again, well written, and showing who you are as a person, along with your accomplishments in education and awards and so forth, but who you really are as a person. If I'm writing a resume and sending it, I want it to be able to, air quotes, for those of you listening and not watching to this podcast, speak to the interviewer. I want your resume to actually speak to them. So that would be my suggestion there. Instead of just a list of jobs and, I was King Kong here, and then I went there and it was King Kong, and then I went there and it was King Kong, and then I went there and it was King Kong. Well, if you're King Kong, man, why are you looking? So let's just be real and speak to the business that you're trying to affiliate yourself with. I got this question. No, we have no affiliation with the AutoMax in Massachusetts. There are, I think they're all used car dealerships called AutoMax around the country. Kind of a funny story about this. Oh man, it could be 18 years ago, 19 years ago. I get a phone call one day in my office in Northfield, New Jersey, from this lawyer representing a company called AutoMax, and said, want to talk to you about, you're going to have to change your name. I don't know, it was 18 years ago, so I'm giving you the crux of the conversation. Said, you're going to, gosh, should I tell this story? Yeah, what the hell? So you're going to have to change your name. So I said, oh, really? I said, when, and I was a little bit taken back, because when I started the company, it started as a DBA before it became an LLC. So you got to register it, and they look it up, and it was all good. So I said, well, when did you guys incorporate? When did you go into business? And he told me, and we had him beat by 4 or 5 months. I said, so when I told him that, I said, so, gosh, should I have my lawyer call you? He said, well, no, can we kind of stay away from that? I said, yeah, let's stay away from that. So actually, one time, I for a while, I dated a girl who lived up in Montreal, and there was actually an AutoMax with 2 X's up there. Good friend of mine, Tracy Myers, name of his company is AutoMax, down in North Carolina, in Winston-Salem, again with 2 X's. So, yeah, there's a few AutoMaxes around, but we're not affiliated with any of them. We are our own thing in regard to that. What is this guy's name? Sean. His question, I'm going to read between the lines here a little bit, because his question was first day at the dealership ? Okay, so I'm going to read between the lines here a little bit on this. I don't know, and Sean was from, or is from, Louisiana. I'm guessing that Sean is a manager at this particular dealership. I could not find him on Facebook. I didn't look through my LinkedIn account, but so at any rate, doesn't matter. But first day at the dealership. So here's the deal, folks. First day at the dealership is critical. With the extreme turnover rate in our industry, and it's extreme. Now, there's other industries that have bad turnover too. We're obviously, because we're in the car business, we're focused into that. There's other industries that go through a lot of people, but we go through too many. It's just a fact. And part of the reason that we go through too many, and I'll debate this with you live, come into the studio and we'll go at it. Well, I'll debate this with anybody. It's been in our experience, and it's in my opinion, based on the anecdotal data, that most of the turnover is based on that initial onboarding, or more likely lack thereof. Here's what happens. We've gotten in such a flow, we don't even think about that new hire in this manner. It's just kind of like, hey, dude, Mrs., congratulations. You're going to start work here and be here Monday at 9 o'clock. Get ready to go. Congratulations. And when you get here, we'll get all your paperwork signed up and we'll get you all done. And we just kind of leave it at that. I'm broad stroking this thing. So if you have an onboarding situation, that's great. I'm going to go into it a little bit deeper here with y'all because I think it's that important. The way that we start them is super important. So, first of all, I would do as much electronic onboarding as possible. I'm going to throw in a real quick spot here because one of our friends of the program is Automotive HR, and our friend Stephen Warner, who's the CEO of the company, and it's a product that we use. So many people say, where in the world did you find these people? We've been running ads for like 8 trillion years, and you run an ad for 8 days and get all this talent, and how do you do it? Well, one of the big secrets is we use Automotive HR. It's a platform that we use. We also resell it. It's an amazing platform. It's career branding. Use video on it. It includes an ATS, which is an applicant tracking system, so you don't have to throw resumes in your drawer or in a file in your Outlook. It's all in one, basically a talent network CRM, basically. Fully legally compliant. All the ads are pre-written. They're all loaded up with SEO, so your ad gets seen. It's a matter of pushing a button. I mean, I can go on and on and on about it. Part of it that we're talking about now is electronic onboarding. A lot of the onboarding, the paperwork portion of it, the I-9s, your dealership employee handbooks, the background check authorization forms, DMV, drug testing authorization forms, all that stuff can be done electronically via email. So they can get everything done beforehand. So when they show up at the dealership that Monday morning at 9 o'clock, they're ready for you to start developing those people. They're not sitting there with a stack of paper this thick and a couple hours worth of baloney and just time-burning work that they don't have to do. That can all be done beforehand. And the best way to do it is with a company like Automotive HR. Just to go a little bit further with that spot, if you want some information on Automotive HR, just call AutoMax, contact AutoMax, 800-878-5090, 800-878-5090. Mention the Recruiter Podcast. Joe or Ernie, somebody will help you with that. Get a couple bucks off if you use the term Recruiter Podcast. Or you can call automotivehr.com, obviously, and deal direct with them or us, doesn't matter, same pricing. But it's a great tool. You should use it. So, onboarding. So the first day, guys, some of you are going to think I'm goofy, and I don't care. But let's make it an event. If I'm hiring a person, I don't care where they're at. In my parts department, on the sales floor, in the BDC, receptionist, body shop, any position, any department, I'm throwing a party. I'm going to have, at the very least, donuts, balloons. I don't care. You got the helium tank and the balloons there anyway. Bring the wavy arm guy out and have him welcome that new hire. I don't care. Make it an event. Make it an event. The days of scratching off somebody's name off a business card that left 6 months ago or using blank business cards until you're sure they're going to stick is bullshit. Those days are gone. Stop being so cheap and spend $20 or whatever it is and get them a box of business cards. If they're good enough to hire, they're good enough to invest $20 on a box of damn business cards. Come on now. You got stuff laying in your parts department that's got, a couple millimeters of dust on it because they've been sitting there so darn long. Swag, a company hat, keychain, whatever. Give them some stuff. Give them some swag to take home with them. Have a clean work area set up for them when they've arrived to the dealership to go to work. Hey, that's your desk over there. Go ahead and clean it up. That's your workstation. Come on. That's not good. Stop doing that. Don't do that anymore. Make it an event. Make it important to them. Blow them away. Make this one of the best days of their life. I'm not kidding you. You want to cut down on your turnover? Make that first day, that first hour, crazy important. Crazy important. I'm going to go further with it, but if it's a bunch of misadventures, oh, gee, I didn't know you were showing up today. I thought it was next Monday. I'm kind of busy. It's the end of the month. I mean, there's a myriad of different things that could go wrong if you don't plan their first day properly and professionally. What's going to happen is this. They're going to go home. There's going to be typically some significant other person in their life at home or that they're going to run into that knows they started a new job at your dealership. And what's the first question they're going to ask? So how was your first day? Well, my first day sucked. It was horrible. It was a nightmare. They weren't ready for me. My desk was a freaking mess. It was bad, man. I'm going to stay looking. I'm going to grab a few paychecks because I get this thing called a draw. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but I get a draw of some sort. I get some money. So I'm just going to hang around for a while, grab a few paychecks, but I'm gone. See, ladies and gentlemen, they have literally mentally checked out. Your turnover rate just went up the first hour they were at your dealership. 5 hours. First day, first 3 days, first week. They've mentally checked out. They're gone. They might hang around 30, 60, 90 days, grab a few checks from you, but they're dudes and dudettes. Their history. So let's change that. Then after I throw an event for this new hire, what I want to do is I want to literally, I'm not talking about, again, this is not a should do this, should do that, and end up staying in a big pile of should. I'm talking about a must. They must spend time with every single person in that dealership. By person, I mean department. In some case, it'll be a single person department. Like, I want them to sit next to the receptionist. I want them to see, feel, understand what that receptionist goes through and what his or her responsibilities are. I want them to know everything in that dealership and how it corresponds and the synergy that's developed, or lack thereof, if you don't do this, with every department in the store. I want them to spend time in the administrative offices. Be quiet while you're in there. I want them to spend time with a service advisor next to him or her in that service lane. Obviously, in the morning, it'd be great. I want them to spend time at the parts counter and see how the interaction takes place between tech and parts counter person, or retail and parts counter person. I want them to spend time with a tech. Stay out of their way, and don't be jabbing in their ear. They're busy and so forth. My point, if you have a BDC, this is a must. It's a triple must. They got to spend time in there. How much time? Up to you. Longer the better. I mean, more than an hour, day, 2 days, 3 days, a week, I don't care, whatever it takes. When I'm making a hire, I'm making a hire for as long as I can possibly keep that person. I'm not letting them go. I can't let talent go. I can't. It's hurting your business. And part of it is due to improper or a lack of professional and proper onboarding. It's just a fact, ladies and gentlemen. So take a look at how you're bringing people on. How are you starting them? What are those first few minutes like? What are those first few hours like? Are we developing that person, or are we saying, hey, you know what? 5-car Fred will be with you here in a minute. He's awesome. Knows what time the roach coach arrives, and he can get you hooked up with really good cheesesteaks and so forth. So, I want you to hang close to 5-car Fred. Come on, man. Let's stop doing that. And if you want to mentor, if you want to hook up salespeople, BDC people with a mentor inside the dealership, hey, that's great. But stop splitting their freaking deals. That drives me bananas. Okay, so all right, so you're going to hook me up with a guy that sells 20 cars a month. That's unusual. That's probably not going to happen because the 20 car a month person doesn't have time to train a green pea. So that typically isn't going to work. That would be great if it did, but typically it's not going to. So it's going to be the house mouse, the guy that sells 4, 5, 6, 7 cars a month. That's great on product knowledge, but couldn't sell his way out of a wet paper bag, frankly. And so all he or she's going to develop is someone that's below average. So that makes zero sense to me. But on top of all that, if you have them so-called shadow an experienced salesperson, and then that new hire gets a customer, an opportunity, and then the veteran comes in and closes the deal and takes half the commission, that is bullshit, and it's got to stop. That is flat out bullshit. Just pay the if you're gonna have somebody shadow a veteran, throw a few bucks at the veteran. That doesn't cost the new hire money. I mean, it's just ridiculous. If I'm the new hire, it's like, what kind of relationship am I building with my mentor if my mentor is taking half my money? It's just like, I mean, guys, say some of this stuff out loud and see if it makes any sense to you. Just do that. If it doesn't pass the out loud test, then toss it. Just let's get rid of it. So that's all I have to say about that. We got a lot of good stuff here. Well, thank you, Matthew Chewy Honeycutt. I will literally watch this podcast 10 times, pure gold. This content will be 100% repackaged and used in my training. Well, thank you, sir. I truly appreciate that. If we are not friends on Facebook or LinkedIn, let's do that. Thank you 1 million times over. That is really sweet of you. If you would, guys, share this. That would be cool if you guys could do that. Yeah, please share this thing. So, let's see. Next question. You know what? Let me get to one of our partners here, one of our sponsors and friends of the program who have I talked about. I talked about Rockstar. I talked about our friends at Tacobi. I talked about Automotive HR. Oh, last but certainly not least is my good friend Troy Spring, Hunter Swift, and the gang from Dealer World, mydealerworld.com, mydealerworld.com. They call themselves a performance company. I call them an ad agency. They are both. They're for sure an ad agency. I mean, everything, traditional to crazy technology. They've grown. They're the real deal. They're a great results-oriented company. Here's one of the things that makes them different in the world of advertising and marketing in the automobile industry. The people that work there have automotive experience, the top folks there. So when you do business with them and they're handling your marketing, regardless of what it is, and something's not working, typically what a dealer will do will say, dude, your stuff's not working. It's like, it's not worth it. I'm firing you. It's done. And typically what a marketing company does, they have a lot of data and they have all these stats that may or may not justify their position. Like, okay, well, we're doing our job. Your guys suck. That's probably not a way to save a deal. So what Dealer World does and Troy does and some of his executives there, they have so much car knowledge that they can take that, instead of going to the "it's your fault, you suck" paradigm, they'll help consult along the way. They feel that consulting is part of their job in marketing, which is, in my experience in the car business, very unusual when you're talking about ad agencies or marketing agencies, whether it be digital or traditional. That's really different, and they're really good at it. And they're all really nice guys. You're going to be hard pressed to find anybody nicer than Troy and Brittany Spring, frankly. They're just awesome people. So go to mydealerworld.com for more information there. So I got a couple more questions, and then, excuse me, we're going to wrap this thing up so I can see about my doggie, Dixie, and see how she's doing, make sure she's okay. I don't think I've gotten anything. No, I don't have anything bad going on there with her, so that's all good. Let's see. Ad scene, interview, first day, pay plans, we went over, GSM, demo, third-party leads, resumes, no affiliation with AutoMax. Okay, here. We've hit on this a little bit, but I had two gentlemen write in. One is from what I can tell, a service director, and one is a service manager, both with basically the same questions or concerns about technicians. And man, and I'm going to tell you what, if you can get this information in front of your general manager, in front of your service director, service manager, whatever the case might be, HR department, I would do so. Look, there's really only a couple ways to go with technicians nowadays. It is, unfortunately, the trades, for whatever reason, don't seem to be something that people are going to in droves, and it's a mistake on young people's part, because the trades, automotive technician, if you would, can be quite a career. It can lead to a lot of things. What's happening, and there's a million different reasons, but what's happening a lot, and what we've seen, and we really have our finger on this thing, on the pulse of this thing, is you got a lot of master techs leaving the industry and starting their own shops. Now, and that's great. I mean, that's free enterprise and, free markets, and God bless them, and that's awesome. However, I'm concerned about they're not leaving the industry or leaving the dealerships. I don't know what the percentage is. I'm throwing darts in the dark here a little bit, but let's just say that 50% of them are leaving the dealership and starting their own business because they're sick and tired of the crap that's happening at the dealership. See, what's happening a lot is you got a person bringing their car in the morning and says, "Hey, I got a squeak in my car. It's the only one that makes left turns on Thursdays at around 7 p.m. when I have 2 kids in the car. Otherwise, it's fine." So what are you going to do? You're going to call over your master tech, because he or she's the smartest tech in the building, and you're going to have them, take the car for a drive, whatever, and, try to get some sort of idea of what the heck's going on. And it's free time. Or maybe you pay them a tenth or two or whatever. They can't make a living at that. So, and I understand you want to go to the smartest person in the room, but you got to pay them. If you're going to have a master tech, A-level tech, B-level tech, any tech, diagnose a problem, you got to pay them. And I'm not talking about paying them just whatever flat rate says. I'm talking about paying them. I think you're going to have to start looking at different pay plans. I think you're going to have to start looking at more guarantees plus incentives. I really do. I think you got to take a look at 4-day work weeks for top technicians, 4-day work weeks, because I'm going to tell you, sure as that I'm looking into that camera and you guys are seeing and hearing me right now, if you're not building a farm system, and I'll talk about that in a minute, if you're not building a farm system of technicians, you're going to have to steal those high-level techs. And the only way they're moving that toolbox across town, across city, across state, across country is there's two things that are going to motivate them. Big money, but more importantly, 4-day work week. Because I'm telling you, sure as can be, man, that master tech or A-level tech, if you give them a 4-day work week, I'm telling you, they're turning those 55, 60 hours in 4 days just as well as they're turning them in 5 if you're giving them that third day off, for sure. Well, what about everybody else, Craig? Everybody else will want the same deal. Then give everybody else the same deal, hire more techs, extend your service hours, put in 2 shifts. You're going to have to do something. Because if we're losing $735 for every new car that we sell, and if we're not separating out new car desk from used car desk, and if we're not killing an F&I and being compliant while we're doing it and doing it right, you better start making money somewhere, and it's going to have to be in the service department. And to do that, you need technicians, and you need a bunch of them. Now, okay, Craig, you said something about money, paying them a lot of money. Yeah, see, here's the deal. They're not moving that toolbox for $5 an hour. That guy, I'm telling you, it would be an unusual situation unless there's something really crappy happening at the store that they're at, that they're going to move that toolbox down the street across the city 10 miles, 20 miles for $5 an hour more. They're just not going to do it. That's been our experience. You're going to have to pay them substantially more money or a real sign-on bonus, not some Mickey Mouse thing. I'm talking about a real sign-on bonus. I'm talking about some outside-the-box stuff. I'm talking about maybe holding back a couple hours a week of their pay. You got a guy that's at $35 an hour, you hold back 2 hours, and you match it or you double it at the end of the year. So you got their attention. So, in other words, you're holding back, let's say, 2 hours a week of their pay. It's $35 an hour, $70. But you're matching that, so it's $140, or you're doubling it, so it's $210 a week, $10,000 a year. So a couple weeks before Christmas, they're coming in there for their 10 G's, right? Now, if they leave, they only leave with their money. They don't leave with your money. They only leave with theirs. But, man, you're going to get somebody's attention for 10 G's come Christmas, for sure. We got to think outside of the box. We work with a couple groups that are building legitimate farm systems. They're hiring those lube techs. They're hiring kids, for lack of a better way to put it. And they're building them up, and they're paying for their schooling. They're paying for their tools. They have a program for their tools. They're assisting them, and they're teaching them, and they're developing them like you would a farm system, what's called a farm system in baseball, where they start at a lower level with typically younger people, and then they're developed and coached up until they get to the big leagues, to the major league teams. And building a force, if you will, of technicians that way is the long play. It takes a while, but man, if you're going to be in this business a while, that's the way to do it. And and it's still hard to hire lube techs. It can be done. There's ways to do it. And again, it's the words that work. It's a matter of SEO and get your ad seen. We can help with that. That's really a strong point of ours, that ours being AutoMax Recruiting. But it can be done. And I'm going to tell you what, technicians and having techs are crazy important. And you really got to get on that thing. So again, free information. I'm talking free information. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, AutoMax Recruiting. Again, you'll know you're at the right place. It's a picture of a kid screaming into a microphone. Playlists. The Recruiter playlist talks a lot about techs. I think my son Joe's Recruit to Retain. I think he's got 2 or 3 videos on technicians. There's one called Automotive Recruitment, talks about text, but it's really important. So you guys got to get on that. Take a look at that stuff. If you want to call in, a phone call is for free. You don't have to pay anything until we send you an agreement. But if you want to call in and get some advice about technicians, fine. Go to Automotive HR. You can be running technician ads. And you know what, man? Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm going to say this out loud to y'all. And I'm going to go back to one of our sponsors in Automotive HR. You should be running ads for technicians 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Craig, I can't afford that. Well, with this format, this program, you can do that. You're looking at a cheap monthly charge, reoccurring charge. No upsell. You don't pay all the ads. You can run, you could run 50 ads a day, every single day, for every day of the year. And it costs you no more money. So if I'm a dealer, I'm running an ad for tax like nonstop forever, because you have no idea when that person maybe they're just getting to town, maybe they're thinking about moving into your town, and bang, they're going to see your ad. And it's right on your website. And guys, I'll go one step further than that. And this has something to do with Automotive HR, but it doesn't. If you've got a job board or what do you guys call it, a career tab or something on your website, and if it's not integrated with an outside company, a third-party company like Automotive HR, just take it down. It's wasted real estate. Nobody is coming to your website to look for a job. They literally are not going to do that unless it's tied with an outside company such as Automotive HR or one of our competitors, because it'll channel back to that career branded part of your website. And the way that Automotive HR does it is just, it's a freaking thing of beauty, man. It's awesome. But if you're not hooked up with someone, just don't. It's totally wasted real estate space on your real estate space. Yeah. On your website. There's just no reason for it, because people are not coming to your site to look for a job. They're coming there to look for specials, hours, service specials, inventory, and so forth. They're not coming to look for a job unless you're tied into one of these third-party HR platforms like Automotive HR. So I think I've talked enough about Automotive HR. Let me just double check here, because I have just a couple more questions and then we're done. That's funny. Press the flesh. That's right. Okay, I answered those. Okay. Hey guys, please also hit the share button. Share this stuff out if you find it worthwhile. I would appreciate that. I want to talk about, I want to end this with retention. We talked about turnover being tied to onboarding. I want to talk about retention here a little bit. And in my opinion, there's a zillion ways to look at it, but I'm going to give you my opinion, and it's basically only two. I'm going to do everything with a talented person. And sometimes you're going to, you guys, if you guys know me or us at all, we're kind of infamous, I guess, for the phrase I made up, did you hire him dead or kill him after you got him? So did you make a bad hire in the first place? Did you hire him dead? Or did you make a good hire, bang, comma, and kill him after you got him? And then they turn over and they leave. So if you hired him dead, that's when you got to take a look at your interview process, your whole process prior to them starting, obviously. Excuse me. And you're probably falling apart in that interview, and that's why I'm strongly advocating that you go with a scripted, word for word, scripted interview. It's very important. Please don't discount that. Please don't. It's super important, crazy important. It'll help eliminate you making bad hires up front, frankly. that and the way you write your ads and so forth. There's a lot to it, but the interview is super important. But let's say you've hired a talented person. I am going to do everything, I mean everything, that I possibly can do to retain that talent that I've tapped into in my marketplace. I am going to do everything that I can do as a leader, as a department head. I'd like to think that we all do it together as a team, that we recognize the importance of that other team member and that we hang on to her or him. Whatever it takes. We got to retain that person. That person brings so much to the table. Forget about literal tens of thousands of dollars that turning over an employee costs, and it really does. It's not what you spent on an ad. It's the time spent developing that person. It's the time spent them screwing up their first few deals because of a lack of development or a poor hire or so forth. You're talking about a lot of money, like real money, flying out of your store. Well, Craig, I don't have that much turnover. For those of you that don't think you have turnover, here's a nice exercise for you. Go into your general office, talk to your controller, office manager, whomever, payroll clerk, whoever has this information. Ask them how many employees, how many paychecks are being cut weekly, okay? And then ask them how many W-2s were sent out last year in 2018. And I think you're going to be in for a real shock of the amount of turnover that number is going to represent. I think it's going to blow your mind. But let me get back to retention. I digress. It is so important that we keep this person there. Develop them. By developing them, I mean develop them into management. If I'm a car dealer right now, and I own one store, that's challenging, for sure. It's not impossible, obviously. We're doing business right now with a terrific single-point Chevrolet dealership, excuse me, in Chicago, in the Chicago area, and they do an amazing job. However, in saying that, I'm just going to talk about me. If I was younger, if I owned one dealership, I'd want two, and if I owned two, I'd want four, and if I want four, I'd want 8 ultimately, and I'd want to make it a generational thing and go on and on and on and on and on. Now, to do that, you need talent, and the only people that I would feel comfortable with would be people that I hired and developed in-house. That would be the optimum way to do it. So I don't want my people to leave. I won't let them leave. I'll do everything that I'm capable of, that myself as a leader, and make sure that my team keeps this person there. Well, yeah, Craig, that's kind of a no-brainer. Well, maybe it is, but we better start focusing on it. We really got to focus on it from all levels. From all levels. Let's work together on that. It's not employee versus management. It's a team thing. If I'm a let me give you an example. If I'm a salesperson in a dealership, and it doesn't matter, I could be there 6 months or 6 years, it don't matter, and I catch wind of someone that's thinking about, we're standing around, we're in a dope ring, and it's like, man, I'm out of here. I'm just, the guy's been there 2 months or whatever. I'm out of here. I don't like this. I don't like that, or whatever. Let's let somebody know. Let's not keep it a secret. Let's not encourage that person to leave. Yeah, this place sucks. I'm probably going to leave too. Let's take that information to somebody and let's see if we can't save that person, or take the initiative and be a leader And like, well, why are you thinking about leaving, man? I mean, this place is pretty cool. I've been here for 3 years, and I don't know, I make good money. And what are you having trouble with? Maybe it's something I could help you with. Or maybe, let's go talk to Bill, the manager, and see if we can't straighten this thing out. Let's help each other, okay? So that's one thing. Now here's the complete reverse opposite. Understanding a person's why that they do things is really important in any business. It's really important in the car business. So if I've got a new hire, I want to really get to know this person. It's unlikely that when they were 10 years old and they went to the family picnic, get-together, that Aunt Mary came up to him and said, "Oh, Craig, you're so cute. What do you want to be when you grow up?" "Oh, Aunt Mary, I want to be a car salesman." It's unlikely that ever came out of someone's mouth. Unlikely. Not impossible, but unlikely. Years ago, I wrote a blog that was entitled, well, at least I can always sell cars. I think that was the name of it. If nothing else works out for me, I can always sell cars. And we get some of that. So accept it. It's just the way it is. However, here's what I'd like to do, what I'd like to see you guys do, is let's find out what their real passion is, what they're really into. It's that talk to me like you know me thing that I said earlier. Let's be real with them. So forget about the car business for a moment, Miss New Hire. What do you really want to do? If you had the money and you had the opportunity, what is it you'd really like to do? And she says, I don't know, whatever. Gosh, whatever is going to come out of my mouth is going to sound sexist as hell. Gosh, why is the world like this? I don't care. So I want to own my own flower shop, craft store, dress shop, shoes, purses, whatever. I want to own my own business on whatever it is. I say, okay, well, that's cool. Why haven't you done that? Well, I don't have the money. Well, makes sense. Well, how much money you would need would you guess? I don't know how much research you've done, but how much money would you need to open up a shop? $150,000. Okay. So if you had 150 grand, you and I wouldn't be sitting here, right? I mean, you wouldn't be working here at King Kong Motors. Well, yeah, probably not. It's not going to cost me my job, is it? No, it's not going to cost me a job. But let me share something with you. You're selling 8 cars a month. You're making $3,000 a month, $4,000 a month, whatever. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to leave here, and you're going to go try something else. And you ain't never going to get that dress shop that's your real why and your real passion. And it's not going to happen. Do you want me to show you how to do it and how to get what you want? Well, yeah. Okay. Then what I want you to do is everything that I ask of you, exactly the way that I ask you. I want you to be stuck to me like glue. I want you to demo every single person. I want you to follow up people forever. Regardless of what they say, I want you to follow them up day after, week after, 2 weeks after, 2 months after, 6 months after, a year. I want you forever until they call me and say, "Hey, tell Susan to stop calling me." All right? And then we'll call them one more time and ask them for a referral or whatever. I want to develop you from an 8-car, $4,000 a month person into a 16-car, $8,000 a month salesperson. Now let's just take that, Susan, for $8,000 a month, $96,000 a year. Let's take a look at that. $96,000 a year. What are you netting? I don't know, $65,000 or whatever it is. All right, what are your expenses per year? Let's take another $20,000 off. Okay. Could we bank 40 grand? this is an example, guys, off the top of my head. Let's say we could bank $35,000 a year, $40,000. Let's use $35,000 a year. You're here 2 years, that's $70,000. You need $150,000. So now you got $70,000 in, Billy Bob Joe's bank down the street from your house. You got $70,000 sitting in an account in there, a savings account drawing 2% or whatever. And you go into them with a business plan and say, look, I want to start this, whatever, shop. And I got $70,000. It's going to cost me another $150,000. Would you match that? You would need $80,000 to be the $150,000. But can I get a loan? I got half of it. I need more money. Craig, aren't you talking to? I thought you said retain these people. Don't get rid of them. Well, guys, people are going to chase their true passions in life, as we all should. But here's the reality of this thing. Think about what I just said. If I get a salesperson and I understand his or her real why, what their real passion is, and it's outside the car business, I'm going to act as their financial advisor. I'm going to act as their financial arm to allow them to realize their true passion. Right? So what's the worst that can happen? They sell 16 cars a month for 2 years. What's 16 times 12? That's 160 plus 32. It's 192. Let's call it 200 cars a year. And if we're averaging $2,000 a copy, $2,000 a car, new and used, front and back, F&I, and so forth, what is that, $400,000 a year in gross profit to the dealership? So Susan has brought me $800,000 over the course of 2 years and 400 customers that she has sold. Now, if we're on the ball, even halfway on the ball, they're not following her to the flower shop that she bought. Well, they might. That's cool too. But those are our customers that we've helped her create for our dealership. Those customers, if we're halfway on the ball, are staying with us. She's made us a bunch of money over that 2-year period. Set her free. Let's find out the way to motivate, inspire, to get the most out of our team members. Now, what could happen is this, and it's actually probably more likely. She's a couple years into this developmental program where we're going to help her save enough money where she can buy her flower shop, whatever the case might be. And it's like, you know what, boss? We had a talk a couple years ago, and this year I'm tracking like $87,000. I'd have to sell a boatload of flowers to make $87,000. I'm good here. What's my next move here? What's my career path like? How do I get promoted at the dealership? Let's talk about that. See, let's put our people in a position. If we think about, they either make it or don't, and there's no gray area, I think we're shortchanging our team members, our employees, our internal customers. I really do. So retain them. Do everything that we possibly can to keep them. Everything. However, also look at the fact that we're not probably their first choice. So let's find out what their first choice is. Let's help them, give them all the tools and all the opportunity to realize their first choice and let the chips fall where they may after a couple years. Because I'm here to tell you that most of them are going to say, screw that. I'm making so much money here. I'm not leaving here, man. How can I become a manager? I want to make more money. Sometimes they make less money as a manager, but so they might want to just, how can I sell even more cars? How can I be the next Ali Reedy and sell whatever the heck he sold, 1,600, 1,700 cars last year, whatever the heck it was, some crazy number. How can I be that person? How can I be the next Mike Davenport, who has 170,000 YouTube subscribers as a car salesperson? How can I be the next Mike Davenport, who has probably now 100 Corvettes on order? Yeah, you heard that number right, 100. How can I be the next one? Well, the way to be the next one is to develop, to listen to management, stick and stay, stay where you start, don't hop around, be engaged, learn social media, brand yourself, so on and so forth. So that's all the questions that I really have time for today. I want to just take a real quick look through here and make sure that I'm not missing anything that I should be doing. And I don't think I am here. I don't think I missed much. This guy, because we had technical difficulty early on, probably sometime, I don't think it could be still later tonight, more likely tomorrow. We'll clip the YouTube version and we'll share that everywhere. Our Facebook page, AutoMax Recruiting. It obviously will be on our YouTube channel, AutoMax Recruiting. It'll be on my LinkedIn page. If we're not connected on LinkedIn, I have 20,000 connections on LinkedIn. I'd love to be connected with you on LinkedIn. Speaking of LinkedIn, that was a question I should have gone into deeper. Executive hires. LinkedIn's a really good spot for that. And it's also a real good spot for techs. I personally put up 2 tech ads last night, and within an hour had 500 views on a tech ad, an automotive technician ad. I don't know what platform that you could possibly get 500 views in an hour for free. I have a premium program, which is, I think that's like $65 a month. I pay for it yearly. You save a bunch of money. I think we pay $500 a month or $550 or a year rather. $5 or $500, $550 a year or something for the premium, which I would strongly urge you get if you're in a leadership role in a dealership. But my point is hook up with me on LinkedIn, Craig Lockard, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and so forth. So and/or AutoMax. So listen, boys and girls, I've had a great time with you today. Please, again, if you're still listening, share this darn thing out. Like to get this information around. Got some awesome, crazy, cool guests coming up here over the next several weeks. So stay tuned for that. And as always, thanks a lot. As my son would say, peace. We love you and have a great day. See ya. Bye, everybody.